We've got a host of celebrities here with our very own Senator Greg Ball. Let's give it up for him. We've got Ma and Paul Ball. Let's give it up for Paul Ball. Where's Paul Ball? Is he out? Where's Paul Ball? Let's give it up for him. This is Greg Ball at 50. Let's give it up.
65.
We've got the Kaufmans here. Give it up for the Kaufmans. Judy DeMay. Judy, come on up here. We've got everybody here. We've got the chairs. Give it up for the chairs in the back. Here. Peace man, I've just got to say something about him. I love him. He's my brother. He's my senator.
Don't start another scandal.
There are not a lot of politicians, when they hand out literature, you all know this. When he was running for office the last time, he said, I want to cap property taxes 2%. I want to freeze taxes for seniors. I want to make sure that anybody that commits a felony doesn't get their pension. I want to repeal the MTA tax. You all remember you saw a ton of literature that the senator sent out. Term limits.
Come on.
Most politicians, when it's all over, they want to run like a scalded dog from their literature they handed out. Senator Ball has delivered for this district. Capping property taxes 2%. He's fought aggressively to get rid of the MTA tax. 80% of businesses out there. On top of that, got us the lowest tax rate for working families in nearly 60 years. This man has delivered. Nobody fights hard, Greg. I told him the other day, I said, Greg, the reason why you're going to win is number one, nobody cares as much as you. Nobody fights as much as you. And nobody wants to do this as much as you. This man is a winner. He needs everybody in this room not to take it lightly. We've got protesters out there outside the parking lot that 6 months ago used to be friends. You all know that, right?
2 months. 2 months.
60 minutes ago. You all been seeing what I'm telling you right now, it's a lot of lies, and you know what else. And it's going to be, everybody in here is a part of Team Ball, and it's going to take everybody in here to tell 50 other members of Team Ball to get out and make it happen. I don't want to say anything else. I just want to introduce our Elvis Presley, our brother, Senator Greg Ball,
I just wish Jim Coleman was president instead of I want to thank, there's so many people in this room, each and every one of you. It's been an interesting 5 to 6 years. And literally just 6 years ago, I was in that blue uniform in the United States Air Force. Not long ago, I was wet behind the ears, got into politics, and what an education it has been. And many of the people that I have taken on are no longer around. Some of them went on vacation to Pennsylvania. And it's interesting how every 2 years, okay, it seems like it's the same story again and again and again. All the stuff that has been accomplished that Jim Coleman talked about, we should talk about that a little bit. I am happy to stand as the front man, but I've got to tell you, it happened because of everybody in this room. I want to thank first my family, my mom, because quite simply, through the toughest of times, it is only family. It is only family that knows how tough it is. And if it were not for that support network, I wouldn't be doing this without my mom and my dad and my bedrock that is my family.
That's very nice.
to the friends, and I'm talking true friends. And if you're in this room and we're moving forward in a battle that's extremely important, not just for the petty politics of any local election, but that's extremely important for the balance of power in this state, to true friends, I thank each and every one of you. And we have been through some extraordinarily tough times in elections. Terrence, we have been mano a mano, battle by battle, and all of us. And you know, you don't need friends during good times. You need friends during the worst of times. And I can say something about the troops that have stood by my side. We're battle tested. We've been to this dance before. We know how to win it, and we're going to do it again. Yeah. To my staff that's here, I thank each and every one of you for putting up what are 18-hour days, 24/7, non-stop, the highest standards in the state of New York to deliver for a constituency that deserves it, but to meet a bar and exceed a bar of expectations that simply doesn't exist in any other office. And I thank you for doing that. I'm to the best nation in the world, the United States of America, the second nation in the world, a donation. I thank my donors. Because the last state Senate race that we were in cost nearly $2 million. The primary alone cost us $1 million. I can tell you that we're raising money better than we ever had. We will continue to raise the dollars that we need. We will have the strongest campaign that we've ever had. But the great thing, I'm about to do a dance.
It's like Braveheart.
Wait until you see the whites in their eyes. And they're not there yet, I'll tell you that.
Jean-Paul Jones.
As far as on to the donors, the great thing about our campaign, I got to tell you, the $5 donations, the $6 donations, the $20 donations, the $100 donations are there. They are strong. We are receiving hundreds and we'll probably receive thousands throughout this campaign. This isn't a campaign, if you look at this grassroots effort, first, to the chairmen that are here, the two county chairmen that are here, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I thank you for being here. You know, to Doug and to Jim DeBella, we've been through some tough times. We haven't always agreed. Doug and I have had some very interesting telephone conversations. But at the end of the day, these two chairmen know that we have to maintain this seat. And I want to get into that a little bit about how this is critically important for the balance of power in the state. When we took on, in this previous election, when we took on Tax Hike Mike, okay? Jim, where are the dogs? Do you have the dogs here?
They're out there.
The chicken, where's the chicken soup? Is it coming?
He's dressing.
That race literally decided the balance of power in New York State. So when we talk about the things that have been accomplished, sure, I'm the face that's on the campaign poster, but all of you that made that race happen, we won that with about 2,000 votes out of 100,000 votes that were cast. By winning that race, the Republican majority was 32-30. Had I not won, had we not been victorious, it would have been 31-31. Okay, we're good with that? Okay, right there. Good numbers. Now, had that happened, the lieutenant governor, being a Democrat, would have been the deciding vote. If you remember, in the previous 2 years, the Democrats from New York City took over that majority. They had a $14 billion deficit. How did they solve that deficit? They increased taxes and fees by $14 billion. That's where the MTA payroll tax came from. That's where the utility taxes came from. That's where the license and registration fees came from. In 2 years, they closed the gap by spending $14 billion. We took back the majority. We had a $10 billion deficit. We worked with the Democratic governor, and we closed that deficit by making tough decisions with no new taxes and no new fees. Yeah. Had we not done that, that $10 billion deficit would have represented $2,500 in new taxes and fees for every family in Westchester County and $1,500 in new taxes and fees for every family in Putnam County. Those are real dollars. And it's not about me. And to the chairs and the committee people that are here, this election is not about Greg Ball. This election is making sure that we have a balance of power and a checks and balances in this state where this adult Republican majority can work with this Democratic governor in an effective and bipartisan way to continue to move this state forward. Because while we have a property tax cap, that may not be perfect, but is finally forcing the issue of tax relief. And while we have repealed the MTA payroll tax, which literally represents tax relief for 250,000 people in this region, we still need a state spending cap. We still need to balance these budgets. We still need to cut taxes for small businesses to the tune of 20% to get these jobs going. And we have to make sure that New York City crowd of tax and spending folks do not take back the Senate majority again, because if that happens, there will be no checks and balances in this state. And this Democratic governor, who is beginning to work with our majority, is working with our majority to move the state forward, will not have a partner in state government to keep this state going in the right direction. This is not about me. On promises kept, I want you to know there are two things. You know, you're never going to read about it in the local press. You're never going to read it on the front page of any of our papers. But when I first ran, there are two things that I said. I said, number one, and this isn't legislative, this is just personal stuff. I said, I will make the state assembly and the state senate my full-time job, and I will not accept any outside income. Now, most politicians would have run away from that once they got elected like a scalded dog. I have not had any other employment, and I have not accepted any outside income. And I believe that is critically important, because that's part of my reforms that I think are important to make sure that we have a legislature that is beyond reproach. And the other thing that I said is I would term limit myself. I term limited myself in the Assembly. I stuck to that term limit pledge, and I term limited myself in the state Senate, and I reaffirm my commitment to that term limit pledge today. And I believe that keeping that personal commitment to the voters in this district is critically important. On the issues, the legislative issues, I remember being in front of Ann and Gil Kaufman's house with crazy Jimmy Tedesco. Where's Ann? When I was running for Assembly for the first time, I guess it was 6 years ago. And it was raining. And Saul, you know, I knocked out like 14,000 doors, but I didn't have enough money to buy new shoes. So the soles of my shoes, and this was like the 5th pair, were full of holes. And my feet were drenched. And Ann asked me, and I said, I can't go on your rug, because I'm going to get your rug all wet, you know?
I want them to give you socks.
And we on that front, we stood in front of their home and said, we have got to fight for comprehensive school tax reform. We have to fight for a property tax cap. And honestly, at that time, there were very few people in the legislature who even said it could even happen. We got that done. On the MTA payroll tax that we promised to actually have repealed, how many people took a train to get here today? that MTA payroll tax that we had repealed, that was an absolute job killer, and we got that done. On the middle class tax rate, just so you all know, everybody this year is paying a lower percentage in taxes than last year. Everybody. But those at the highest end, over $2 million, were set to go from a little over 8% tax to 6%. We said, let's reform the tax code overall, make it fairer for everybody. Everybody is now paying a lower tax, but by doing that, we were able to deliver the lowest middle-class tax rate in 59 years. 59 years. So there's certainly a lot that has to be accomplished. We didn't get into the mess that New York State is in overnight. It has been not a haphazard, but a concerted effort, literally a minefield of bad decisions over a number of years, over a generation, that have made New York State inhospitable to business and working families and seniors and taxpayers. We're not going to get out of this overnight. But I can tell you, and I don't shy away from it as a Republican, our effective and bipartisan relationship with this governor is the exact right solution that we need in a way that we do not see in Washington, D.C. to move this state forward. And I'm committed to that, because on the fronts of the spending cap statewide, critically important, on balancing this budget, and on reversing that $14 billion in new taxes and fees